I am Brady Briggs here for another episode of the Combat Logic. And today I want to go over UFC 270, this pay-per-view event we just had over the weekend. It was headlined and co-headlined by title fights. Now, let's see. I want to start out by saying Matt Frevola and Geronimo Valdez. Man, this was such a great fight. I can't believe it didn't get fight of the night, to be honest with you. Matt Frevola didn't even get a performance bonus, which is just insane to me. Like, he may have been taken care of. I didn't watch the post-fight presser like I usually do. Dana may have said that he, was going to take care of him. But, dude, Matt Frevola had the most impressive performance of the entire night on Saturday. Like, man, he just came out like a bat out of hell, and he would not be denied. Like, he got close to getting knocked out himself. He almost knocked Valdez out. He dropped him 5 times, okay? And I thought the 4th time it should have been stopped. He got dropped the 5th time, took a bunch more punches and elbows, and then it was finally stopped. But my God, like, Frevola was 8-1-1 until his last 2 fights. He fell to 8-3. He was knocked out in 7 seconds of his last fight prior to Saturday. Man, this performance really makes me excited for his future because Valdez is a Mexican. Okay, we all know how tough Mexicans are. It's very rare you see Mexicans get knocked out or finish with strikes. And Valdez has that typical Mexican fighting spirit, man. I was very impressed with him too. He was 10-0 coming into this fight with all 10 wins by finish, 7 knockouts. So yeah, I'm really excited to see Matt Frevola again, and I really hope that he got more than his show and win bonus. Tony Gravely and Salman Oliveira. Man, Oliveira, he's a pretty good fighter too, man. He's a really good kickboxer. I saw, and he's got some pretty good front chokes too. He almost tapped Gravely. Well, I don't know if he almost tapped him, but he had really, really tight guillotines a number of times in that fight. But Gravely, he's a grinder, man. Gravely secured 11 takedowns in this fight, which is just astounding. That's some Merab Dvalishvili type shit right there, or Enrique Barzola type shit right there. Like 11 takedowns in one fight. It's just remarkable. I want to see him fight Merab Dvalishvili now, but the problem with that, Merab isn't like 6, 7, 8 ranked maybe. And Gravely isn't ranked, but he's done pretty well for himself lately. Aside from getting finished by Nathan Menes, he's now 3-1 in his last 4. Jack Della Mondelena and Pete Rodriguez. Man, this was a crazy fight, and I'm so excited for both of these guys' future. But this just goes to show, like, a lot of people were complaining about this card. There were 2 title fights on it, but other than that, people weren't the most excited for it. And I don't understand because if y'all paid attention, you would know at least half of the fighters on this card, first off. And second off, just because you don't know who they are, don't mean they're not good fighters. Don't mean it's not going to be a good fight either. Jack Della Maddalena, man, this kid is so talented. Okay, get this. He's only 25 years old. He is 16 days older than me. Okay, he's 16 days older than me. And he's now 11-2 on an 11-fight win streak. Okay, he lost his first 2 fights. He lost his first fight by 3rd round TKO to a guy that was 2-0. And then he lost his next fight to a guy that was 0-1 by 1st round rear naked choke. Then he has gone on an 11-fight win streak, finishing all of them except for his second to last fight, where he was awarded a contract on Dana White's Contender Series. He made his UFC debut against an undefeated opponent, and man, his boxing is so crisp. It's so great. He's only 25 too, as I said. Like, he's got so much room to grow. He's so slick and precise. Like, man, I can't wait to see what's next for him. And Pete Rodriguez, he was only 4-0 coming into this fight. He had a long amateur career. It was pretty successful. Let's see. It says here he's 7-2 as an amateur. That's all the fights that it has counted anyways. He looked a little nervous coming into this fight. No, he was 4-0, 4 knockout wins in the first round. This fight was the longest he'd had. It went 259 and to round 1. But after this, I hope he's got the jitters out of the way because he's a very dangerous talent himself, and I think he's got a lot of room to grow. He's got really solid hands too. He was just beaten by the better guy on Saturday. Victor Henry and Hioni Barcelos, man, this exactly what I was worried about happened. Barcelos looked incredible in the first round. He looked so good. He's one of the best, most technical strikers. Dude, he's a Brazilian national wrestling champion. He's a high-level black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. His boxing is incredible. He's got great front kicks up the middle. He's got great leg kicks. Like, dude, he's one of those guys that's literally one of the best in the world that nobody knows, but he got a little bit of a late start in MMA anyways. He's 34 years old, and once he gets tired, it's not the same anymore. Typical of a lot of Brazilian fighters, but he's not the same anymore. And then the second two rounds, actually all of these say 30-27. I do not think he lost that first round. But, you know, Victor Henry, he's a good fighter. He's a pretty solid fighter. He does a lot of things the right way, as the commentators were saying. And yeah, he was able to beat Hioni Barcelos in his UFC debut. So Barcelos, I just want to go over this. Started out his UFC career. He came into the UFC at 11-1, coming off wins over Bobby Moffett and Dan Murray. Okay, both of which are UFC veterans. Dan Murray is doing very well in Bellator right now. He just beat Goiti Yamauchi, who's an incredible talent, before losing to Spike Carlisle. But anyways, he went 5-0 in the UFC with 4 finishes, or 5-0 with 3 finishes, I'm sorry, initially, and then he's lost his last 2. Timur Valiev has lost prior. He also won the first round of and got tired. It's unfortunate, but 'tis the fight game. Michael Morales and Trevin Giles, man, dude, a lot of people were wondering why a couple of these fights were on the main card, but man, this was a wicked fight. I knew it was going to be too, because Michael Morales is a 12-0 knockout artist that had 9 of those wins coming by knockout. And he's now 13-0. And Trevin Giles is a knockout artist himself. And man, he couldn't take it. Syed Nurmagomedov had a really, really, really impressive performance against Cody Stamann. No, Cody Stamann, I want to get into him a little bit too. He was 17-1 as an amateur, okay, which is just remarkable. He made it to 17-1 as a pro, lost to Aljamain Sterling. And then he went 2-0-1 over his next 3, beating Alejandro Perez and Brian Kelleher. Really, it should have been 3-0 because he won that Song Yadong fight. Everybody knows he won that fight that watched it. Nonetheless, 17-1 as a amateur to 19-2-1 as a pro. He has now lost his last 3 straight, being finished by Syed Nurmagomedov in his most recent. And Syed, man, I'm so glad he finally came back. Like, dude, this dude could be a champion if he would stay active. I want to go over his record really quick. He came to the UFC at 11-1. Okay, that was in 2018. He then fought Justin Scoggins. He beat him. He was a wicked kickboxer. He fights a lot like he's just like a flyweight version of Stephen Thompson. He beat him in his debut. Then he knocked out Ricardo Ramos in his next fight, which was incredibly impressive. Ramos is a great fighter. He's a prodigy, man. Then he lost to Hioni Barcelos. He lost to Hioni Barcelos in 2019. He also fought Ramos in 2019. Then he knocked out Mark Strange in 2020. Didn't fight at all last year in 2021, and now he came and got a 47-second submission win over Cody Stamann. So I really hope they get him in there more often, man. I've thought that for a while, and now that I saw that performance out of him, man, just please get him at least 2 fights a year. Michel Pejaya and Andre Fijalo. This was a good fight. Fijalo is actually a really good fighter. He's got very crisp, sound, technical boxing, but it wasn't enough for someone like Pejaya. Pejaya has been much more disciplined over his last few fights since losing a couple. Now, he knocked out Danny Roberts in his UFC debut at UFC Rochester. I actually worked at that event. I was very impressed. Like, I thought I was going to be interviewing Danny Roberts that night. I wasn't. Like, Pejaya caught him with a flying knee and then starched him with a punch immediately following. Then he lost the fight to Tristan Connolly, who's a lightweight he never should have lost to. He just did too much stupid shit, wasted his energy, got tired. Then he lost to Diego Sanchez by a disqualification, a fight we all know he won. And since then, he's gone 4-0. He hasn't knocked anyone out in that stretch, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, he's gone 4-0 since then. And after losing the first round to come back and win the next two when he was a little bit tired after that first round, we could tell. That was very impressive to me. He has beat Zalim Amadiev, Chaos Williams, Nico Price, and now Andre Fijalo in his last 4 fights. Let's get into the co-main event. Davidson Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. Now, a lot of people thought Brandon Moreno won this fight, me included. I am not going to complain about the decision. I think it was so close. It could have went either way. I scored a 48-47 for Brandon Moreno, but it was a close fight. And honestly, it was very reminiscent of their first fight. It was reminiscent of their first 2, actually. Like, they both looked good. That was reminiscent of their first fight. Brandon Moreno looked good. That was reminiscent of the second. It was a straight-up war. That was reminiscent of their first. Man, I just want to say I have so much respect for Davidson Figueiredo, especially after this, so much respect. Because after that fight, immediately following, he's like, get ready, Brandon. We're going to do it a 4th time. He realizes they're 1-1-1 with each other. And, yeah, he's going to give him a 4th fight. You know, a lot of people, especially after fighting someone 3 times in a row, they'd be like, fuck this dude. I want something new. No, Davidson, I mean, he's probably going to fight the Askarov Kai Kara France winner first, but I don't think Brandon Moreno loses to anybody else. So we're definitely going to see it again. Francis Ngannou and Ciryl Gane. This was not the fight we expected it to be. No, I was going to bet on Ciryl Gane to win this fight. And then I realized he was the favorite. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. But after losing the first 2 rounds went just like I thought the fight would. The first round, Ciryl used his clinch and along the fence and his hand fighting to tire Francis out, which was so brilliant, man. He might have the best clinch amongst active fighters right now. Like, I forget, he's not a kickboxer. He's a Muay Thai fighter. Like, he fought and he went 13-0 in Muay Thai. Not kickboxing. So yeah, his clinch is incredible and his hand fighting is so good too. And if y'all don't know, hand fighting tires you the fuck out, especially when you're trying to land knockout blows like Francis was. Then in the second round, Ciryl fights at distance and picks him apart the whole round. Francis did land some shots, you know, but none of them landed flush, not a single one. And in the third round, Francis catches a kick. He's down 2. Like, it looks like he's about, he just won the belt, scariest man in the entire planet. He's about to lose it as soon as he wins it. In the third round, Ciryl comes out and throws a kick, which Francis catches and slams him so violently to the mat into his side control. He eventually gets up, Ciryl does, but toward the end of the round, Francis secures a double leg, and, you know, it's now 1-2. He does the same in the 4th round. And then in the 5th, it's 2-2, man. Ciryl comes out and secures a single leg and gets Francis on his back. And I'm like, oh, shit. He's such a big dude. How is he going to get up? Like, he just fought for 21 minutes. He's so big. Like, how is he going to have the energy to get up? Well, he doesn't. What he does, he hits a fucking sweep. Such a beautiful, beautiful sweep. I had no idea he had in his arsenal. Man, it was gorgeous. And he gets back on top. Well, Ciryl locks up a leg lock and turns it into a heel hook. He adjusts it a couple times, comes pretty damn close to shredding Francis's leg apart. And Francis gets up, gets back on top. He wins the fight. It's really impressive because we didn't know Francis had this in his game. Just like I said, I didn't know he had his sweeps in his game. We didn't know he had takedowns in his game. We've never seen him use that. We saw him use defensive wrestling in his last fight, his rematch against Stipe Miocic. The reason he lost the first fight with Stipe is because of his wrestling defense. Well, he fixed it and knocked Stipe out. Now in this fight, he shows he's been working on offensive wrestling too. And it's a beautiful thing to see. You know what else? This is his 17th win. This is his first ever win by decision, which is also great. He has gone 5 rounds twice now. He's now 1-1 in 5-round fights. He can win 5-round fights. Like, he can knock just about anybody out. Anybody that's not named Ciryl Gane, he can knock out. The only reason he couldn't knock Ciryl is because of how technical and perfect of a striker he is. He's literally a perfect striker. So this was a very good event. I was very pleased with it. I didn't go to bed until like 2 or 3 in the morning. I wished, you know, both title fights didn't go all 5, considering that. But, you know, it's Monday now. It doesn't fucking matter anymore. Yeah, it was a great event. I think it surpassed some people's expectations. I hope y'all liked the video. Like and subscribe if you do. Thanks for watching.